Detective Eleanor Shaw had seen every kind of criminal in her 22 years with the Metropolitan Police. The careless, the desperate, the arrogant. But never, never, someone like the man they came to call the Shadowless. The name wasn't poetic. It was literal. He left no footprints, no fingerprints, no hair, no fibers, nothing. Crime scenes were as clean as hospital floors. But the victims were real. Brutally real. His seventh victim changed everything. The rain was hammering the roof when Shaw arrived. Blue lights flashed against the wet asphalt of Brixton Hill. The apartment door was unlocked, not forced, not damaged. Inside, the heat was still on. The kettle showed it had boiled 15 minutes earlier. The victim was still warm. A young woman. No signs of struggle. No signs of restraint. No defensive wounds. Cause of death? A single precise puncture beneath the jaw, severing the carotid artery with surgical neatness. The same as the last 6. Shaw walked slowly around the small kitchen. Everything was too perfect. A psychopath might obsess over cleaning, but this was something else. Her partner, Detective Sam Calder, stepped beside her. "You're thinking the same thing I am," he said. "That this wasn't just a murder," Shaw replied. "It was a message." Calder nodded. "And the message is, you can't catch me." Shaw's jaw tightened. She didn't like games. Over the next 48 hours, Shaw studied every detail of the case, again. 7 victims. No pattern in gender, age, or occupation. No connection between them. The only common detail was the method, and the eerie silence he left behind. She met with forensic analyst Lydia Park, who looked as though she hadn't slept in days. "I checked every surface," Lydia said. "Walls, doorknobs, faucet handles. Nothing. Not even smudges." "What about the floorboards?" "Wiped," Lydia said. "Triple cleaned with industrial solvent. It's like he floats." Shaw exhaled. "Ghosts don't kill people, Lydia." "He's not a ghost," Lydia murmured. "He's a professional." Shaw considered that. A professional assassin. Maybe. But assassins had targets. Motives. Patterns. The Shadowless had none. Or, none they could see yet. On the third day, Calder sprinted into the office, pale as chalk. "Eleanor, we've got another one." "Already?" Shaw stood so fast her chair rolled back. He nodded grimly. This time, the body was a middle-aged man in a high-rise office, found slumped over his desk at dawn. Again, the same surgical strike. But for the first time, finally, there was a difference. The killer didn't wipe the computer. Shaw pounced on the laptop. A file sat open on the screen, like a trap waiting for her. "Pay attention." Her pulse quickened. Calder looked over her shoulder. "Is he talking to us?" Shaw swallowed. "Looks like it." Then the cursor moved. Slowly. Deliberately. Type. Pause. Type again. Calder whispered, "What the hell does that mean?" Before Shaw could respond, more letters appeared. Shaw's heart hammered. This wasn't just taunting. This was a countdown. Shaw and Calder spent hours tearing through the victim's past. Nothing stood out. He wasn't wealthy, influential, or involved in anything criminal. But he did have a brother. An ex-con named Marcus Vale, released from Wandsworth Prison 6 months earlier. Shaw and Calder found him in a small apartment above a pawn shop, smoking on the balcony. Marcus didn't run. Didn't protest. He just looked resigned. "I knew you'd come," he said softly. "Your brother is dead," Shaw said. "We need to ask you." "I didn't do it," Marcus cut in. "But I know who did." Shaw and Calder exchanged a sharp glance. Marcus leaned against the railing. "You're looking for a man who doesn't exist." "Try us," Shaw said. Marcus sighed. "His name is Galen Price. He was a cleaner. The best. Made crime scenes vanish for gangs, syndicates, political players. But he snapped. Started killing the people he was hired to protect. Said they weren't worth saving." "And you know this because?" Calder asked. "Because he cleaned up a job I was part of," Marcus said quietly. "And then he killed the guy who hired us all." "Why didn't you report him?" Shaw snapped. Marcus stared at her. "Would you report the devil if he promised you hell in return?" Shaw felt a cold knot tighten in her stomach. "Galen Price," she repeated. Where is he now? Marcus shook his head. You don't find him. He finds you. Shaw stepped closer. Marcus. Why did he kill your brother? Marcus' voice cracked. Because my brother tried to stop him. Back at the station, Shaw ran Galen Price's name through every database she could access. National, international, classified, military, medical. Nothing. Not even a birth certificate. It was as if Marcus had invented him. But Marcus hadn't lied. Shaw could always spot liars. This man, this ghost, was real. Calder paced behind her. So what now? Shaw stared at the computer screen, the reflection of the blinking cursor in her eyes. He said 18 days, she murmured. We need to figure out what happens on day 18. She pulled up the timeline. The first message had appeared at dawn, 5 days after the 7th murder. 18 days from that moment would be February 14th, Calder said, frowning. Valentine's Day? Shaw shook her head. No. Something else. She narrowed her eyes. February 14th is the anniversary of the Brixton massacre. Calder froze. The gang shooting? The one in which 13 people died, Shaw said. And the cleanup was rumored. Rumored to be done by a man no one ever saw. Galen Price. Shaw nodded. They were getting closer. Too close. On the 12th day of the countdown, Shaw received a message on her private phone. No number. No location. Just a single sentencia coordinate followed. Calder cursed when he saw it. He wants to isolate you. Yes, Shaw said calmly. Because he knows he'll come. Eleanor, if I don't, she said. People died. The coordinates led to an abandoned textile warehouse on the south side of the city. Rusted chimneys. Broken windows. Empty courtyard. Shaw parked her car and stepped inside, flashlight in one hand, gun in the other. Galen Price. She called. Come out. Her voice echoed. Then, a figure stepped from the shadows. Tall. Lean. Wearing gloves. Wearing a mask. But his eyes, dead, grey, were fully visible. You came, he said. Shaw kept her weapon steady. Why the countdown? What happens in 5 days? Galen tilted his head. The truth. You're a cleaner. A ghost. Why start killing? He laughed softly. You think I'm the villain? I kill corrupt people, detective. Traffickers. Money launderers. Politicians who order deaths and pretend their hands are clean. Shaw frowned. Your victims were innocent. On the surface, he said. But every one of them was involved in the massacre they tried to bury. Shaw blinked. That can't be true. Galen stepped closer. Your department covered it up. Shaw felt her chest tighten. You're lying. Am I? His voice was calm. Too calm. Why do you think I left you clues? Why did I choose you? Shaw's fingers tightened around her gun. Because, Galen said softly, your father was the officer on duty the night of the Brixton massacre. Shaw froze. My father? Yes. And he signed the report declaring the deaths accidental. He knew it was false. Shaw's pulse pounded in her ears. No. He wouldn't. He did, Galen whispered. And in 5 days, the truth becomes public. Shaw swallowed. And you expect me to just believe you? No, Galen said. I expect you to stop me. But you won't. He took a step back. Because you're not here for justice. You're here for answers. And then, he detonated a flash charge. White light filled the warehouse. Shaw dropped to one knee, blinded. Footsteps. The door slammed. When her vision cleared, he was gone. Like a shadow that had never been there. The next 5 days were a blur. Rerunning evidence, confronting old colleagues, digging into sealed archives. And then she found it. A classified report. Her father's signature. A cover-up. Galen Price hadn't lied. Shaw sat alone in her apartment, staring at the papers. Her father wasn't a murderer, but he had been forced into silence. Powerful men. Dangerous men. Men who were now dead, every one of them Galen's victims. Except one. William Hargrove. The last man linked to the massacre. Still alive. Still protected. Shaw stood. She knew where Galen would go next. She found him on the rooftop of Hargrove's penthouse. Galen was holding the man by the collar, dangling him over the edge. "You're too late," he told Shaw calmly. "Put him down," she said, gun raised. Hargrove whimpered. "Please. Detective. Help me." Galen looked at her. Straight into her soul. "You know what he did," he said. "You know he paid for the massacre. Ordered it. Watched it." Shaw's gun trembled. Her voice cracked. "It's not your choice." Galen's eyes were hollow. "It was never my choice. It was survival." Shaw stepped closer. "Let him go." A long silence. Then Galen smiled, not with joy, but with resignation. "You're too good for this world, Detective Shaw." He released Hargrove but grabbed his jacket at the last second, throwing him back onto the rooftop. Hargrove collapsed, sobbing. Shaw exhaled, but when she looked up, Galen Price was already stepping backward. Over the edge. She ran. Looked down. Nothing. No body. No sound. No trace. Just darkness. 3 weeks later, the city had calmed. Hargrove was arrested. The Brixton massacre files were reopened. Her father's name was cleared of wrongdoing. But Shaw couldn't sleep. Sometimes, late at night, she felt like someone was watching her. Not threateningly. Not maliciously. Just present. Like a shadow at the edge of a lamp's glow. One evening, a letter arrived at her door. No return address. Inside, Justice ISNT clean. But someone has to clean it. No signature. Shaw closed the letter and whispered to the empty room. "Galen Price, are you still alive?" A faint sound outside. Soft footsteps. By the time she opened the door, no one was there. Only a single wet footprint on the pavement. The first he had ever left. And then the rain washed it away. But in the days following the mysterious letter, she began to feel like she was living with one. Galen Price had vanished from a rooftop 20 stories high. Every camera in the district showed nothing. No ladder, no rope, no harness. It was impossible. And yet, a footprint. Just one. Left deliberately before the rain washed it into nothing. A message. He wanted her to know he survived. But why? On a cold Tuesday morning, Shaw entered the precinct clutching a cup of oversteeped tea that had long gone cold. She barely tasted it. Her thoughts were elsewhere, on Galen, the letter, the rooftop. Calder was waiting for her. "You're not gonna like this," he said. "Give me the file." He handed her a folder with a single photograph. Victim. Male. Late 40s. No obvious cause of death. Shaw frowned. "And why exactly am I supposed to not like this? Look at the neck." She lifted a magnifying lens and leaned in. A precise, almost invisible puncture under the jawline. Her stomach tightened. "No," she whispered. Calder nodded grimly. Same method. Same angle. Same precision. But he said it was over. Did he? Calder asked. Or did he just change targets? Shaw closed the folder with a sharp snap. Where was the body found? Dockyard 6. In a shipping container. Who found it? A crane operator. Says the container was dropped off at 3 a.m. No driver ID. No cameras facing the loading zone. Shaw felt a chill creep up her spine. This wasn't random. This wasn't relapse. This was a pattern. The docks were eerily quiet. Fog rolled off the river, thick enough to taste. Shaw and Calder walked between the rows of shipping containers until they reached the one marked Act 77. Inside, the corpse still lay untouched, waiting for forensic pickup. Shaw crouched beside it. No signs of struggle. No defensive wounds. The same surgical strike. Who is he? She asked. Calder looked at his notes. Name's Harold Thorne. Logistics manager for a private shipping company. Any priors? Connections? Rivals? Dirty money? Nothing. Clean reputation. Shaw shook her head. Galen doesn't kill clean people. He only kills the guilty. So you think this guy was involved in something? Calder asked. I think Galen is telling me something. Calder gave her a sharp look. Eleanor, you need to stop thinking Hez communicating with you. He is. Hez a killer, Calder snapped. Hez manipulating you. Shaw stood, brushing dust from her knees. Maybe. but has never killed without a reason. You're defending him. No, Shaw said quietly. I'm trying to understand him. That's how you catch a man like Galen. You understand his logic. Calder rubbed his temples. God help us. Later that day, Lydia Park from forensics called. I found something, she said. You better come see it. Shaw and Calder drove to the lab. Lydia showed them a grainy, enhanced image from the container. A number, barely visible, scratched into the metal wall from the inside. The 14th of February, 2004. Shaw froze. That's the date of the Brixton massacre. Lydia nodded. Someone scratched it from the inside. Either the victim, or Galen, Shaw finished. Calder looked at the number again. Why leave a date now? The massacre case is already reopened. Shaw stared at the numbers, thinking, no, this ISNT about reopening old files. She took a breath. This is about unfinished business. That night, Shaw laid out all 8 victims on her dining table. She stared at them until her eyes ached. A political advisor, a banker, a street-level broker, a corporate attorney, a gang coordinator, a police informant, a nightclub owner, and now, a shipping manager. Different backgrounds, different lives, different industries. But there had to be something. She rearranged them again. Calder came in carrying 2 coffees. Please tell me you found something. Shaw didn't answer. She was scribbling on a pad. What is it? Calder asked. Look, she said, pointing. She had drawn a rough map, a network of names and arrows. They're all connected indirectly. Small transactions, hidden payments, shell companies. It's faint, but it's there. Calder leaned closer. What are they paying for? Shaw drew one final circle in the middle. Operation Greyfall. Calder frowned. What's that? Something that was supposed to be destroyed, Shaw whispered. Something related to the Brixton massacre. Calder exhaled slowly. You think Galen's killing everyone tied to this operation? Hes eliminating the chain, she said. One link at a time. And now Hes leaving clues. Shaw nodded. He wants me to uncover it. Calder shook his head. No. He wants you to choose a side. At 2:14 a.m., Shaw's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Shaw. Silence. Then a familiar voice. Quiet. Steady. You're getting close. Shaw felt her breath catch. Galen. You shouldn't have reopened the past. You left me no choice. A pause. You need to stop looking at the victims as individuals, he said. Look at them as doors. What is Operation Greyfall? Shaw demanded. Silence again. Then, a mistake, Galen said. One I won't let them bury again. Why kill Thorne? He shipped something that never should have been moved. What? You'll see, Galen said. Dockyard 6. Container Axe 78. Her eyes widened. There's another container? Yes, he said calmly. But you won't be alone. The line went dead. Shaw grabbed her coat. Calder rushed out behind her. Where are you going? To stop the next murder. What murder? There's no one at the docks. Shaw's voice was hard. There will be. Shaw and Calder find a bound man at the docks moments before discovering a bomb in a nearby container. Shaw grabs a handful of Greyfall classified files before the explosion tears through the area. They survive, and Shaw realizes Galen Price never meant to kill them. He was watching from a rooftop before disappearing into the fog. Back at the station, Shaw opened the files. Calder asked what she expected to find, and she answered quietly. Proof of the massacre, the cover-up, and of what turned Galen into a killer. But when she reached a folder labeled Greyfall Primary Architect, Confidential, she froze. Inside was a single photo. Shaw whispered the name of the man in it, her father. In that moment, she realized the case was no longer just about Galen, but about her own past and the shadow her family had left behind. The story doesn't end there. Stay with me and wait for the sequel.